Hello there, I am Amy from moonmindology.com, and today I want to see if we can use astrology to assess whether Iran really does have nuclear weapons hidden beneath the surface. What are their intentions? Of course, I must say that astrology isn't 100%. We're just looking at likelihoods here. So I did some research which does say that there is no current proof that Iran has high-yield nuclear stuff. The Western governments, they are saying that they have these secret facilities. But when it comes to nuclear power, Iran actually have one nuclear reactor, which I believed is supplied and built by the Russians. And they are currently looking at building another, or it's in progress. But according to world-nuclear.org, this attack was based on Netanyahu's alarmist statements regarding the potential of nuclear armament. All of the enriched uranium stockpiles are estimated. And if you look at the headlines, everything says things like, may have the ability. So none of it is clear or actually defined. So let's make our own decisions. Maybe just for fun. As previously stated, the best chart that I have for Iran is the most recent government chart from 2024. You know, it's recent and it works nicely. We know when around about he was, took the oath as well. So first of all, we have a Scorpio ascendant, which is very hidden. I've seen this sign described as an iceberg, where 90% of it is actually concealed underwater. So we have a strong secretive sign here, which we have to put into the support pile for hiding something at least. The ascendant is in the nakshatra Yazd, which is associated with a star called Antares, which is associated with military and politics. And there is a link to being the eldest and having a responsibility, which can lead to arrogance in some situations, great authority and leadership. And this nakshatra is linked to jealousy and surprise attacks or being provoked. Why? It's in Scorpio. Just imagine that you see a scorpion on your picnic table. Do you offer it a biscuit? Maybe some Pims? No, you scream. You throw your basket at it because it is scary. Has it done anything wrong? Well, yeah, it has a weapon of mass destruction in the end of its tail. So you preemptively defend yourself by throwing your basket. Sounds reasonable, doesn't it? I mean, it's understandable that Iran, the scorpion, is so desperately frightening. But to the scorpion, it may not even be highly venomous. And if the scorpion was asked his opinion, he would say that he's being profiled for being an arachnid and experiencing extreme and severe discrimination. But another thing about Yazd, being the eldest, Iran, or as it was previously known, Persia, is one of the oldest inhabited regions in the world, and it has been continuously inhabited throughout the years. Yazd has a lot of shadow power, and I wouldn't say it's associated with a destructive burst like Ardra or Barani. Yazd is more covert. The ruler of Yazd is Indra, and he throws thunderbolts during storms, and he's the king of storms, and the king of the gods, and considered to be the god of order. So Indra is like Thor or Zeus, who controls that thunder and the weather. But he could also be linked to controlling the powers of nature, like nuclear. That's a natural force. But I suppose the bolt of power could be an atomic reaction. But radiation, nuclear radiation, no, it doesn't quite fit. But it is speaking of electric and not chemical or radio as in radiation. But Indra has this surgical strike, and it can also be associated with strategy, espionage, cyber warfare, and there are all similarities with these planned attacks. And you could also say the military strikes that have just happened are linked to this as well, because it's almost like a thunder that comes out the sky. So let's nip across to the 7th house, where we're going to look at the group of planets here in Taurus. And this combination, it's bold, it's aggressive, and it's technologically driven. Uranus can bring some military escalation, but also an unconventional or a surprise attack as well. Mercury is pulling obstacles into the 10th house of the public image. So we are looking at an energy again of secrecy, espionage, networks and organisations. And I really do think that they have better intelligence than we actually realise or give them credit for. Neptune and Rahu, they are conjunct in Pisces, and wow, Rahu is a great power with a price, and Neptune is creating an obscurity. Neptune is something I do heavily associate with AI, deception, misinformation, and when you get Rahu right next to it, it really pushes these meanings to extremes. Not only that, Neptune in Pisces, it's heavy, it's heavy in the match of meaning. So Neptune and Pisces linked together. And I think that Neptune going into Pisces is the reason that AI exploded. People use it to discuss their problems, solve code, solve problems. It's become an incredibly valuable tool. And Neptune in Pisces has allowed this energy to express itself freely and in an uninhibited manner. And I remember playing with like a little AI phone app back in 2015, and it was very simple. Still complex, but simple. It was in the early stages. But now we have ChatGPT, Copilot, and they started in late 2022 and early 2023, which is April 2022 was when Neptune entered Pisces. And that was around about when Copilot was released. And with that, if their secret weapon isn't high yield uranium, but something more electrical, well, what could it be? So you're probably hearing the word uranium and thinking, was that not linked to Uranus? And it was discovered around the same time as Uranus, and it was named after it. But Uranus is more about technology and radio waves, as opposed to radioactive decay. Radiation at its core is a transformation from an element that's unstable to an element which is stable. And that's like a transmutation, which is Pluto, very Pluto. And there's a massive release of energy and controllable power when you have a radioactive material, which is very Pluto, not Uranus. So don't be misled. Saturn is very strong in the 4th, and there is a strong infrastructure in Iran. They're not easily taken down. And I would say that there's actually a good state of investment, and there is a lot of stuff underground as well. Saturn is earthy, and it's all about things below the Earth's surface. And if you have the 4th, which is the house at home, and Saturn's there. But we also have Aquarius playing a huge role here. What is Aquarius? It's technology, and it is anything that is futuristic. And I do think that there is potentially some kind of data tracking or surveillance going on by the state. Pluto is in the 3rd house of communication. And this is where, a massive amount of change, transformation is taking place. But this is within the communication and perhaps media system. And I don't think that this nation is about nuclear warfare. I do think that they have some kind of underground covert weapons, but it's more about digital dominance, cyber warfare, disruption, and misinformation. Saturn is in Purva Bhadrapada, which is about duality. And I do wonder whether nuclear misdirection is actually part of their tactics with whatever they're planning to do here. The Bhadrapadas, the nakshatras, are the scorching pair, as well as being heavily religious. So whilst researching this, I googled Iran fire temple. And I was shocked to find that it's a real thing. And the fire temple of Yazd, I mean, sounds nuts, but where better to hide something than underneath a piece of history that's just priceless. It's a little scary now. This is probably not true. And we do have to look at this whole thing as a bit of fun. So moving on to the Dashars. Iran's government is in the cycle of the moon and Jupiter. Both of these planets are very strong. And the moon is in a mutual exchange with another planet, giving it even more strength. That's Venus. So the moon does bring volatility, and there is a reactivity to opponents as well. Wealth, ideology and propaganda, intelligence, they're all very important to Iran at the moment. Jupiter can bring some diplomacy, but is impacted by Mars, which can give a lot of anger and aggression. 13th of August 2025, whatever is going on with Iran, I think that they're going to get pretty serious around that time. They might start to get quite strategic from then, and this is an enduring time, and there could be a moment almost of silence or rebuilding, and it's a period where they'll spend time strengthening the homeland and defence. So I do think that during Saturn period, that's when they may launch some kind of cyber attack or covert attack. It can seem like there's peace on the outside, but it's almost a tactical camouflage. Another possibility is that there could be some kind of regime change, which isn't completely unimaginable. The worrying thing is that Saturn is going to be very sensitive after and on the 13th of August. And that is exactly when Rahu crosses it. Then in February 2026, Mars and Rahu, as well as most of the other planets, are going to be hanging around in Aquarius, which could trigger some kind of event causing change. So this could be the aforementioned restructure, or it could be a natural or environmental disaster. There could be like control, oppression of the people in the name of restoring order. And there could be some alliances that break down. But I'm going to close for now because I'm kind of worried I've uncovered a secret location of some kind of hidden cyber hacking bunker in the centre of Iran. Wouldn't that be just crazy? But anyways, have a great day and I shall see you next time. Thank you very much. Bye. Which can give a lot of anger and aggression. Can you get down? Stop it. It's just such a turd. Lucy, hello. You're saying hello.